Hello and good afternoon, good evening, and in some places, of course, if you're in Australia, good morning, everyone. Welcome to this week's new episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. BoomStick and friends. And yes, we have a lot of friends here today. Now, who's not here today is Crispy Bomb. He is spending time with the missus and the family on a nice dinner out. So, of course, we want to wish him a great time with his family. He's always here. He'll be back next week. Again, best voice in podcasting for sure. But my God, folks, this is a week of weeks. We're going to get into some serious topics here. I mean, obviously, this is a video game show. I do want to shout out the incredible responses from some people in the community who reached out to me for yesterday's Xbox Factor podcast, where we covered a very, very serious and heavy topic, and it was done with class. It was done with precision. If you missed that show, please go check it out. We discussed the controversy behind Mundfish's Atomic Heart, that developer who has not gone on record mentioning the war in Ukraine. Obviously, they're a Russian studio, but folks, they are not in Russia. They are in Cyprus, which, if you don't know where that is in the Mediterranean Sea. It's actually off the coast of Lebanon. They are miles and miles and miles away from Russia. I know there's been a lot of talk, and there's been a lot of, torches and pitchforks for this studio about how they may be paying taxes to Russia, and taxes are funding the war. God, listen.
Wait a minute. Boom.
Yes, sir.
Boom. I'm sorry. I just want to say something about this topic real quick, and I know it's not for tonight's thing. I'm a tax-paying citizen, right?
Right.
My tax dollars go to the U.S. government, who has fought a number of illegal wars.
Yes,
it goes to the police department, which most of the police officers are good. You are one of them, Boom. But the police do things that I don't agree with.
Yes, of course. Yes.
So
absolutely.
Just because I pay taxes, does that mean I'm in support of everything that the country did? Like, this is like, I'm sorry. And I don't, maybe I'm hurting anybody's feeling. I don't care. You're moral grandstanding, and you are picking this as a topic that you want to make yourself look morally superior to. And if anyone would like to debate me on this topic, please feel free. Right?
Yeah, I mean, like beyond that,
there's a German developer.
Yes.
Yeah. Would you say no? I mean, they've done plenty of bad things, right?
Are we going to say you endorse everything that Germany? This is the dumbest argument I've heard.
Yeah.
You know what? Let me calm down.
My favorite analogy in all this was how many Volkswagen drivers are in the room?
No kidding, right? Yeah, exactly. Thank you. I had that talk with Wilmy about a month ago.
Oh my God! Listen, again, I do want to funnel people over to check out that show if you missed it. It was phenomenally done. Everyone just was. I've gotten so many messages of support saying, "Hey, Boom, thank you for covering this. This was I didn't expect this topic, and after listening to it, I've actually had people tell me they listened to it twice. That's how well it was covered. Yeah. So I'm very proud of that work. We're going to be doing that kind of work here today. Obviously, I have declared that we're going to talk about Scalebound again, because I like talking about that. It's my dream that this game comes to reality.
It's the zombie game. It is a zombie.
It's a zombie game. I love it. Look, all I will say is this, folks. We have two very additional heavy stories that we're going to get into today. Specifically, one that has exploded on the scene. Microsoft has laid off 11,000 human beings. Now, I know there's going to be some talk. If it's console war related, keep it out of this, because that's not what we're here to do. Like I said, Microsoft, they did this. We're going to discuss who was affected. 343 heavily affected. Jason Schreier out there doing what Jason Schreier does. He did a really bad take with Satya Nadala's salary from last year as opposed to the layoffs this year. I mean, he's the CEO of Microsoft. He makes money, folks. That's just what he does. But we're going to get into that, and we're going to be covering, folks, what's going on at Ubisoft, and we are going to work Microsoft into that conversation, because I think Ubisoft finds themselves in a position where No one wants to buy them because they have way too many employees, and those employees are about to strike. Especially the Ubisoft Paris division has declared they're going to strike, and we have some comments from them. This is an opportunity for them to potentially pawn off some of their IPs that they're just not working well with. I don't know if Assassin's Creed goes or the Division goes or any of those other ones, but I know one particular one that I hope Microsoft reaches out and asks, "Hey, can we have it? We'll pay you for it," and that's Splinter Cell. I think that Splinter Cell, it's a travesty of justice that an entire generation went by without a new Sam Fisher game. Like it doesn't even make any sense to me. But we're going to get into it. But let's get into the introductions first. Wandering Dutch, brother, thanks so much for joining us. How you feeling? Yeah, you guys had a great show today.
Yeah, it was awesome show. Again, covered a lot of the topics in here, and I'm looking forward to kind of discussing them with you guys as well and getting contrasting opinions on things. So it's always good. Really looking forward to jumping in and talking about these topics. It's been awesome.
Nice. Kay Asante, what's up, brother? Welcome back, and congratulations on a pretty successful first Super Chat day last Saturday.
Yay!
You hit 1K, man. Good job, brother. Good job.
Thank you. No, it was a fun time. A lot of the members here, a lot of the people in the chat were also present. Had a lot of fun, enjoyed ourselves. It was good. I appreciate it. No, I appreciate being here. Is it an optical illusion, or has the mag have a very big cup? I'm sorry, no.
The cup is monstrous. Look at the size of it compared to my head. It is literally the size of my head.
Am I just seeing something? Am I having a stroke right now?
That is a pretty big freaking cup, man.
It's ridiculous. It's like 2 liters of tea. By the time I done it, I have to pee like 6 times. I might as well just drink a stein of beer instead.
Oh my god, that's good stuff.
He brought it to his mouth and was releasing to his head, and I'm like, something's wrong.
No, it's
I'm just
monstrously
gonna pause
huge.
real quick. I'm just gonna throw a pause in there.
Pause.
Sorry. Sorry,
Anyway.
everything I have doesn't fit in your hands.
Oh my goodness, this has gone off the rails, and we're only 7 minutes in. I love it. It's good stuff. Hey, Mac, how you feeling, brother?
That
Welcome
would be
back.
a perfect time for a Manscaped ad.
No kidding, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
You listening, Manscaped?
Yeah. Mac, how you feeling, brother? Welcome
Oh,
back.
excellent. Oh, yeah. No, I'm great. I'm doing great. I'm excited for the show tonight. We got some things to talk about. I have a feeling that some of my thoughts are going to upset some people. But hey, that's why we do things. We do things because you want to hear our thoughts and whatever, or maybe you don't want to hear our thoughts. But hey, you're going to hear mine anyway because I got the mic and you don't. But anyways, in all seriousness, Boom, that red ring of death thing that you had behind you brought me 2007 PTSD, okay? Because I remember the first time it happened to me, I'm like, what the hell's happening to that
It
thing?
happened to me 11 times, brother.
Jesus, 11 times. It only
Yeah.
happened to me once, thankfully. Actually, sorry, excuse me. Actually, it happened twice. But once in 1 year, and then it happened a year later with a refurbished one, believe it or not. But anyways, doesn't matter. Let's get into this show. We got a lot of great things to talk about. We got some controversial things to talk about. It's been a hard week for a lot of people. It's been a hard start to 2023. Let's hope that things look on the up and up, and let's keep it on the up and up. But let's also be real at the same time. So anyways,
Yeah, no,
guys,
absolutely.
let's get
Again,
into
one of the things that I truly enjoy doing, like I said, we can talk about our favorite game of the year, what we're playing now.
Sure.
But there are real life situations going on, and I kind of feel like there's not a lot of places covering it, and I don't want to be like everyone else. Again, if you get bored by the conversation, that I get it. I'll tune out, and I'll be sad to see you go. But this is some of the conversations we're gonna have are incredibly important because real life is real life, folks, and people make games, not robots. And when you hear that 11,000 people lost their jobs, you got in this climate, this very, very fictitious climate that we're currently in financially is scary when you have a job, right? When you have money coming in, what happens if you don't? You know what I'm saying? And Mag actually is going to lead off this topic because he said something in the DM that I thought was absolutely brilliant. And you know what? Hindsight, folks, the big picture, sometimes Microsoft doesn't get it right. And I'm not sure if this is one of those times, but we're going to talk about it for sure. Hargeet Chani, what's going on, brother? Welcome back.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me here, and we'll have fun with this one. It's interesting that we had some big news today, and next week we get something with the showcase, and we'll have a podcast.
And you know what? I'm glad you brought that up because I'm going to be doing some advertising, folks. Next Wednesday's show is potentially going to be the biggest one of the year. I have already lined up 13 guests.
Wow.
Nice. With everyone here and everyone else coming on the back end, it's going to be upwards of 13, maybe even 15 different guests. I'm going to have to cycle through people. It is going to be the biggest show of the year. I got some new artwork that I have previewed to Kay Asante. He got a chance to take a look at it. Some advertisements going to be going up in the weekend. It's probably the best work that I've done. Ben Kenobi has knocked it out of the park in regards to helping me build these motion thumbnails. I can't wait for everyone to see them. They're really some of the best work I've ever done. And if you're a content creator and you understand how difficult and how hard it is to build a freaking thumbnail, it's some folks. It was one of my biggest trials as a content creator, and I have finally it clicked with me. It has clicked. So shout out to you, Hargeet. Thanks so much for being here. Everborn Saga, what's going on, brother? Welcome back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, you said something earlier that was robots don't make games, people do.
I knew he was about to say yet.
For now.
Yes.
Right.
For now.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's true.
AI is coming soon.
We do have an art program that you type in a couple of words and your art is done for you. Yeah, so it was listen, Terminators are coming, folks. And I don't have the weaponry that I need to destroy them.
I'm in 100%. I want it to happen.
Their names are Boston Dynamic. But here's the thing. I'm very excited about tonight, and I think we're going to have some grown man conversation.
I love it. Yes.
And I'm going to speak from the perspective of a business owner,
yes,
and who has employees that depend on me, and who has had to make downsizing decisions at times. I lead a small team for a multi-billion-dollar corporation as my day job. I have my own side businesses where I have people on payroll that I have to pay, as well as contractors that I use for the Everborn. So I will try to attack it from all of those angles, as well as the fan angle. But I'm very excited about this conversation.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I can't wait to get into it. But before we do, folks, the super chats are already in here. Let me just throw them in here. Drawn TJ drops not one but two super chats of the night. The first one of $5 says, "Hey guys, Gaz said Joseph Staten is leaving 343. Is this really true?" Yes, it is true. He is leaving 343 Industries, and he is apparently going to work for Xbox. I think it's actually Xbox Game Studio Publishing, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, so he's going back.
He's going back to where he came from. That is correct. Yes.
Okay.
Which makes sense if you're deprioritizing the campaign to focus on multiplayer.
Which is, I don't know. Look, I don't want to turn this into I hate 343 Industries, because I don't. I love Halo Infinite. I've been waiting patiently for the single player stuff to get here. I don't know what is happening. I am going to say, the more that you read about what's going on, and again, studio restructuring, when you have to turn a big ship the size of 343, it takes a long time. It's not what we want to hear, right? It's not what I want to hear. I want to know why the hell I haven't had campaign DLC that was promised to me. I'm a campaign guy. I love multiplayer, and I'm pretty damn good at it, being an old bastard. I'm actually pretty good when it comes to Halo Infinite, and I'm proud of those skills. But as much as I like that, and as much as I love multiplayer, I'm a single player dude. So for me, I've been waiting and waiting and waiting, and I'm still waiting. And there's been no talk about it, and it's frustrating. It is incredibly frustrating. But
much of the layoffs have been in the single player division.
In the single player campaign aspect of it. Yeah. Mm-hmm,
you and I, sir, are going to be waiting even longer.
I know.
You know they call me the bot master. I'm all about that single player action.
Yeah. Well,
so I'm right there with you, boo.
It's frustrating. But Drawn TJ drops an additional $2 super chat and says Halo is screwed. And He's not wrong. But the Black Harry Potter, I love that name, dude. That is amazing. He drops a very generous $20 super chat. And he says, Mr. Boom, yesterday you said Starfield would be the biggest game of 2023. I just want to respectfully correct you and say that Hogwarts Legacy will be the best game of 2023 and of all time. Look, dude, you're not
Of
wrong.
all time, no.
I mean,
All time, maybe not, but yeah, he's got a point.
I
That
have
is looking
listen.
big,
I
man.
bought
With that
I-
name, he gets to strut his stuff for a moment. He has that name. Let him strut
Yeah.
his stuff for just a moment.
That's beautiful. The Black Harry Potter. Who
biggest
can
games of the year
argue
are gonna
that
be
name?
Spider-Man.
It's the best name I've ever read.
Spider-Man and Harry Potter are going to be the 2 biggest games of the year.
I think
listen,
both,
I wouldn't
I think
overlook
all of you
Zelda.
are forgetting Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, Zelda.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be
wouldn't
the.
overlook it.
I look.
We also
honestly,
forgot immediately.
Hogwarts. I cannot wait to play it. I bought the highest expensive edition. I had to tell some woman that was trying to beat people down on Twitter, saying that we have failed as character human beings if we buy this game, and I had to respectfully and politically correctly destroy her on Twitter. And of course, I have some people coming after me saying, "Oh, how could you, J.R. Rowling, whatever." Listen, these developers have nothing to do with the original creator's words. What she says, the trouble she has found herself in, has nothing to do with that studio and the people that are working hard, potentially 10 and 12, 15 hours a day to get this game done. You can't punish the devs for the original IP creator saying horrendous things. You can't do that. And if you want, again, you want to get up on your pedestal and wave this flag of distaste, then don't buy the game.
Again, to prove you are morally superior, it is birds of the same feather. Fight me.
Yeah, I love it. This is going to be a very testy thing, but anyway, Dronty, so shout out to you for the generosity of the Black Harry Potter and an extra star for the coolest name I've ever heard, I gotta say. And Dronty J drops an additional $5 super chat and says, Mag, you should do voiceover or be a motivational speaker.
Oh, I'm a motivational speaker, all right. Especially when people show up late to work.
Yeah, oh my God, yeah. Kenta Wilson, a good friend of the program, just a $5 super chat and says Starfield may be the new face of Xbox. Yeah, potentially. I don't know what's going on with 343, but Halo Master Chief is supposed to be in.
I mean, that's true. It's not there, right?
It is.
Sonic should be the face of Xbox.
Okay, that's enough.
Oh my God.
Let's
got a
move
4
on.
out of 10.
It happened. I had to do it. I'm contractually obligated. I don't know.
I love it. And Sir X-Man drops a very generous $2 super chat and said, "What game did 343 make before they were given Halo?" I don't think anything. They were literally created to do Halo. I
think Sir X-Man is trying to trip us up.
Oh yeah, I think so.
And they were formed of previous Bungie employees.
Yeah. And then all previous Bungie employees who wanted to stay on. Look, folks, we're gonna get to Scalebound momentarily for a hot second because it's not. It was going to be a big topic, but unfortunately, we're gonna spend time on it. But I got to talk about the Microsoft situation. 11,000 people now. We were talking in the green room. Microsoft before this layoff had, I believe, 220,000 employees. They have knocked off 11,000 spots. I saw a lot of people posting on Twitter, "This is my last day at Microsoft. This is my last day at Xbox," and it's very sad. It's a very sad situation. Like I said, folks, as someone who was very, very fortunate enough to retire and find a voice in YouTube, which is very hard to do. I have my pension, and my pension is pretty good. I'm not a rich man by any stretch of the truth, but like I said in the beginning, the pension, as great as it is, has its limitations, right? I said it. I was talking to the guys prior. Like my wife and I, we do our food shopping at Walmart, and today we paid $7 for a dozen eggs, man. Like $7 for a freaking dozen eggs. Now, I know that this is a video game show and people are going to clown on me for talking about real life, but I have money coming in. It's there in the bank every month because I served my city for 21 years and I earned it, right? 11,000 people just lost their job in a recession that this country is not saying is a recession. So think about that for a second. Now, I want to go to the Mag first here because Mag, you said something pretty damn good in the DM in our private chat. I want you to repeat that verbatim if you wouldn't mind, but more specifically, this is I don't think this could have come at a worse time for these 11,000 people that are going to be affected. Now, granted, I'm sure some are going to land on their feet. Some are going to making calls. Some people are moving as we speak to different parts of the country, maybe even outside of the country to get work and they have friends in the industry. But there are going to be a lot of people that are pretty much holding the bag.
Right.
Let's break this down from your point of view.
Okay, this point of view is going to have like 5 angles. It's going to be ridiculous because there's so many different. It's not. There's no real black and white here. It's all gray. So here's the thing. What I said in the chat, and I'll read it verbatim here, is I know everyone is making massive cuts, and what I mean by that, we're talking everybody. Okay, any big tech company out there, they're all making massive cuts right now. So it ain't just Microsoft, Facebook, everybody. They're all just slashing and cutting away. Anyways. Is making massive cuts, but in the midst of all this acquisition talk and ecosystem building, this has a really bad look overall. I understand that they aren't related, but still, public perception is everything.
Yeah,
and that is something I swear I don't like. If we had rulers like teachers back in the day, you beat the kids over the head with it. That's pretty much what we're doing. What we've been saying for the last 3 years is it's all about the PR war. That's what wins you the war, so to speak. That's what wins you. The PR battle wins you the war. That's what I meant to say. And that's something that's always been something, right? And the thing is right now, what I see, I'm not talking about for me personally. I'm just talking about what I see when I go on social media and whatever today specifically, and you're looking around and you're seeing what's everybody saying. What's everybody saying? This is bad. This is a travesty. This looks bad. What's Microsoft doing? And then all of a sudden people are saying, oh, it doesn't affect the Xbox ecosystem because Microsoft, let's face it, Microsoft has a ton of different divisions, right? Microsoft is not just Windows and Xbox, right? They have tons of different
22,000 employees.
Right. Okay. There you go. Right. And that's something that Dutch had put in the chat, right? They went from 220,000 to 210,000 or 209,000, I guess. But anyways, the thing is that it is affecting the Xbox. The Xbox. They're talking about Bethesda. They're talking about 343 Studios, right? And so now you're like, okay, so what are they doing here? Now, the thing is, I will get into why they did what they did, okay, which makes sense in the end. It sucks, but it's a reality, okay? When you're part of what they like to call mass hiring situation, that this is part of the reality. And what they do is that they trim the fat in order to, you know what I mean? In order to, move the property forward. It's something that I unfortunately have to do, and I've been doing it for a very long time, but it's something that has to be done, right? And anyways, I'll get into that in a moment. But the point is, getting back to the public perception thing, is that the average Joe six-pack out there is going to look at it and they're going to say, Xbox is going to be buying all these studios and doing all this and doing all that, yet they're cutting all these people's jobs. This is not consumer friendly, blah, 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 blah. That also could affect, by the way, in a very indirect way, but doesn't matter. Humans are still humans, okay? These governing bodies that are looking at the acquisition deal, they're thinking about that stuff too, They're looking at that. It may not even have any legal standing or legal grounds, but in their mind, they're still no different than you and I. There's still people that think like we do, act like we do, and everything else. At the end of the day, it still crosses their mind. That puts a bad taste in their mouths. It puts a bad taste in players' mouths too when they're thinking they're about to have a showcase next week in 6 days or whatever it is. Next week, they're having a showcase, and everybody's like, and they're cutting the people who are making these games, right? And so that's what people are thinking. Like I said, you don't have to agree with me. I'm just telling you what I see out there, doing a litmus test of what's going on in the social media world. This is the narrative that's going around. Now, let's get to the actual reality of it. When I opened restaurants, big ones, small ones, whatever it was, okay, when I was actually in the restaurant business before I went corporate, is that we would hire, when you opened up a new place, right? I remember this one place in particular called Big Star Cafe, 3 stories high, okay? It could fit 1,000 people in this place. It was ridiculous, right? We hired 80 staff members, right? And we trained all 80 staff members. But we knew from day one that we were only keeping 35. Because 35 is what was sustainable for the business model. And what you do is you hire 80, and then the best 35 you kept. The other ones you just cut away and you got rid of them. That's how it goes. And that's what's happening here. There's no different here. Did they not do a massive hiring spree? I think it was like a year ago or a year and a half ago.
Right during and even right after the pandemic. Yeah, they
right.
did. Yeah.
So Mag,
yes,
they hired 50,000 people.
There you go.
Well, it's actually if you go back to 2019, they had 144,000 employees, and so now prior to today they were at 222. That was 80,000 employees that they've added in the last 3 years.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So there you go. That's the point. The point is they already knew their magic number was, I would say, presumably about 205,000. Right. But they overshoot because you need to, like I said, you need to do like a litmus test of the entire community to see who the best of the best are. And they're watching. Let's call them the pit bosses, okay? The pit bosses in the casino are walking around watching the dealers, and they're picking the best dealers of the lot. That's how it goes in the real world. So what they do is that they do all that, they look at it, and then from each division, let's say, okay, listen, you got 1,000 employees under your watch. I want your best 500. That's how they do it. Yeah. Give me your best 500 out of the 1,000. Yep. They go to the next guy, and they do the same thing. They're like, hey, you know what? You got 2,000 employees under your watch. Give me your best 1,000. And then at the end of the month or end of the day or end of the year, they go back and they give them the names of all that stuff. And then everybody else, they cut away. Right. And the other thing is there's a lot of, well, you know what, let's face it. There's also something, this is where people are going to get pissed off at me. There's a lot of people out there, especially the younger generation, whose eyes wide shut when they don't realize what the real world's all about. Because when you see Microsoft employees, Facebook employees, or whoever the hell employees, and they're sitting there on a 2-hour lunch break, this ain't France, people. Okay. They're on a 2-hour lunch break in San Diego, sitting there taking a picture of their Mediterranean diet, going, this job is fantastic. It's too good to be true. Guys, let me tell you a little secret. If it's too good to be true, it's not true. Okay? And so the thing is, when you're taking those 2-hour lunches eating grilled octopus and you're sitting there drinking an appletini for 2 hours instead of working because some other guy's going to be in there busting his ass while you're drinking the appletini, guess who's going to stay on and guess who's going to get sent home? Right?
The appletini guy.
The appletini, he can go drink those at Applebee's for at half price from 5 to 6 p.m. So that's what's going to end up happening to those people. That's why you see these people and you laugh. I got to say it. Mooch used to say that all the time about them. He goes, those people are going to get cut. He was right. And actually, I have to message him because for the very few times I always say he's right, this might be the one time in 2 years he's right. So I got to tell him, I go, you know what, Mooch, you were right about that. And he is right about that because he did say that on one of his shows. He said, this is what's going to happen. They're going to get let go after the pandemic is over. And he was bloody well right, because this is exactly what's happening now. These are the realities. If you want to keep the job, you want to move forward. I don't, you know what? It's too bad, so sad. That's the reality. They're going to look for the performers. They're going to look for the workhorses. They're going to look for the people who succeed. They're the ones who strive to make themselves better. Those are the ones who become the Phil Spencers of the world, right? Not grilled octopus guy. Phil Spencer. When Phil Spencer was working with the Microsoft, when he was working on the Xbox development teams, he was busting his hump. Okay, he was working hard. He was moving and shaking. He was doing. They don't give you awards just because you show up to work. You get those things because you've excelled past everybody else around you, and that will make people hate you. Trust me, I know.
Mag. Yeah, I hear Phil Spencer's favorite thing is calamari, so you might be a little wrong.
Well, calamari's different than octopus, so but hey, you know what? He's earned it now. He can eat the grilled octopus. He's done the work. He can eat the grilled.
Okay,
he can do whatever the hell he wants at this point. He wants a 2-hour lunch.
On releasing AAA games, and
well, that's a whole other thing. That's a whole other thing. But you know what? He did warn us in 2021 that there's going to be a lull. So there was that. But anyways, I'm not going to defend all that. I'm just saying it was put out there. But anyways, the point is that the people who were let go. I know it's sad. It's terrible for a lot of people. There are people who are supporting families. Inflation is through the roof. It's hard to find good work. There's a lot of work out there. It's just not great work. But the thing is, there is a lot of work out there. And the thing is, in order to support families, when you're paying, I see in the chat here, $7, $8 American for a dozen eggs. Okay, that's a lot of money, especially when you don't have a job. And that really, really sucks. And it's terrible. And I'm never going to say, well, They didn't work hard enough, so they deserve to suffer. They don't, but take it as a learning lesson moving forward. I guess that's the only thing you really can do is that you're gonna have to just be better. And then you're going to have to be the one that stands out the next time. Take it as a positive experience. Is that something that you could look forward to for the future and say, you know what, I got to try better next time and really put myself out there. Really, Joe Rogan always said it. You want to be the best at something, apply yourself for 10,000 hours in that specific subject and you will be a master at it. Yeah. And that's how you got to move it. And so like, that's the thing. They got to do that. And there's nothing else really we can do about it. There's nothing else anybody else can do about it, but it does suck for the public perception. They're going to have to clean that up, and they're going to have to sweep it under the rug and make people forget about it by putting on some great showcases, release dates for games, get people excited for what's coming up and all that kind of stuff. Because right now, it really is a little bit painful. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's kind of like it's a bit of a bruise. It's a bit of a black eye in the PR department. So that's what I see.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
can I go next on this, Boom?
Yeah, absolutely. Just folks, just for context here, they're not the evil corporation. Layoffs are going on across the board. Yeah. Facebook, Amazon, Apple, all the big tech companies are laying off people, and it's for what a lot of people on the panel have already said. They did massive hiring during the pandemic and right after the pandemic. Right? They had a lot of. Now they're scaling back. I have just pulled a story, and this was posted only a few hours ago from lordsofgaming.net, and it was Joshua Redding is the one that wrote it, and they're reporting, folks, that 3-4 Industries has lost 60 of the 450 people currently working at that studio. They have laid off this morning 60 people from Redmond, Washington.
Bloomberg is reporting that the majority of those 60 people were in the single-player teams.
So maybe they were finished the single player DLC that we don't know about. Like the post-production's a whole other ballgame, right? It's like doing a movie. When they do a film shoot, they let everybody go except for the editing department, right? Everybody else gets let go and they have to go find other work. So like then there's another year and a half of work that goes into the final product where it's just the editing team, right? So this could be the same deal. They could have finished the DLC for all we know because we don't know. And then 6 months to a year from now or maybe next fall, we might get it, but that the editing team might be the finishing touch. I'm just saying.
I don't think we're getting that DLC in Infinite, but we can talk about that.
Listen,
hey man, you might be right.
I mean, I would be devastated for a multitude of reasons because, like I said, I'm a single player guy. Everyone knows that if you follow me. I love Halo. I love Halo single player. I loved Infinite. I thought Infinite was probably one of my favorite Halos since 3, and that's really saying something because 3 is one of my favorites. I'm going to be honest with you. But everyone, let's get into this. Massive layoffs coming on the heels of a $70 billion deal expected to close by year's end. And again, I know that there's still a lot of doubt. We're not going to get into whether it's going to close or it's not. At this point, it's going to be what it's going to be, right? But they are making a $70 billion investment in the company. They're trying to acquire Activision Blizzard King. That's going to come over with a lot of employees. They're letting some employees go. Does one have anything to do with the other? I don't know. But all I can say is you had some thoughts on this. Let's break this down.
Yeah. So again, as I was saying before, and this is not about like a whataboutism, but I just want to paint a picture of where we are in like this economic situation across all the major tech and finance companies. Because remember, Citi. And that's my alma mater. And I got a lot of people calling me from Citi. And Goldman did a round of layoffs. Amazon is doing 18,000 layoffs.
18,000 employees. Yeah.
Right. Facebook just did a large round of layoffs. And the fact is this. Money was almost free, right? Interest rates were near zero. And a lot of companies borrow money to bring on talent and then kind of pay it that way because it's easier to pay it back that way. And now money is no longer as cheap as it used to be, on top of, these bleak economic outlooks, on top of investors having some trepidations about the growth of Microsoft's cloud business, on top of the fact, when we come back to Microsoft, the fact that they're potentially going to bring in another 10,000 employees. These things they suck. And I'm right there with Pixelbit G when he says nobody wants to hear any of that when light bills are $1,000, right? And that's true. My latest Con Ed bill is $1,500 to be frank.
Jesus
right?
Christmas.
And so like there's no two ways about it. It's terrible. One thing I will say though, to me, it seems as though yes, they felt layoffs were required because again, they're gonna post their quarterly results, right? And we can get on our moral high horses or whatever. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't, but the stock is going to take a massive hit if when they report numbers, the cloud growth is down, right? And then people are going to want to start seeing return on investment for all their spending in the gaming division, right? But when investors hear this bad quarterly report on top of having their employee headcount so high, that's the first thing they're going to look at. You know why? Because everyone else is cutting, and that's the first thing their investors are going to say, hey, you need to cut. They also, Mag, I don't also agree that like partly it's a little bit of sauce, a little bit of cheese, I like to say. Some of it is they're going to go for the low performers in the reviews, and that's a real thing. But part of it is it's nothing to do with your performance, and it's all to do with does your division make money?
No, money is number one, but they did mention redundancy a couple of times.
And that's the next point that I'm coming to. So people say, well, why the hell are they letting people go in ZeniMax? And they have Starfield coming out. The answer is ZeniMax is a publisher, and so is Xbox Game Studios, right?
Yep.
And there are redundancies there, and they didn't do any layoffs. And so I think once you have this opportunity, they're basically saying we want to get rid of everybody who we felt like was redundant at that time, and that sucks. And there's no sugarcoating that. There's no, well, but this, and what about Amazon that? That is terrible from a human perspective. But from a business perspective, I had to and again, I'm a very small employer, right? Between my businesses, I got like 5 contractors and 4 salary people. And just letting go one person just because it just didn't make financial sense to do based on the business we had coming in it sucked. And you have to make that decision. And those people depend on you. And those people don't know how they're going to pay. They don't know how they're going to make ends meet. But if you have a business to run and that business is having issues or could potentially have issues, these decisions unfortunately have to be made. Now, again, I don't like the comparisons to, well, look what Amazon did and what if Sony did, because we're not talking about Amazon and Sony right now. We're talking about Microsoft. And I genuinely feel for those people. And there's a lot of people that I know personally that work for Microsoft. They haven't been picking up their phone today, which scares me, right? Like, did they get the access? Also, I hope not, right?
Yeah.
And that's a real thing. But business, it's not show friends, as they say, as I say, right? It is show business. And again, they are potentially about to bring in 10,000 employees. And if you look where the cuts are, we're talking about video games. So we're looking at ZeniMax. I heard Coalition also had some cuts, but we're talking about ZeniMax. Yeah. We're talking about 343 with the perception of Halo, right? With what many people have been saying about 343. And I see a lot of people that were saying fire 343 that are now pretending to be concerned for those people's jobs,
thank you.
Which is hilarious.
Exactly
to me.
what I was thinking.
Yes,
exactly.
Thank you. I'm glad you talk about that.
So if you was on the fire 343 train, don't talk now. Just sit in the back of the class and let the adults have this conversation, because I don't want to hear your crocodile tears, right? So, but like, we knew that a restructuring was coming at 343, and if you're doing that, now's the time to do that. And then with ZeniMax, again, Microsoft is a publisher, and they have a publisher, and they have a marketing division. So I'm going to assume that when you have all that overlap from buying someone that does what you do, there are going to be several people that are doing the same job. And it's great for me and you and everybody on the panel say, just pay them money, even though their job is redundant, right? Because it's not like Microsoft.
Well, you can't have the same person doing. You can't have the same three people doing the same job and not making any headway,
right?
And you just can't have that. So yes, layoffs have to happen. That is correct.
Right. So these are things that unfortunately have to happen, and many times at Microsoft, they will try to get you another role that is available, because remember, they are still hiring, but they're just going to be hiring in the places where they're making money. Right. And then, you know, they are still going to invest, but they took money out of HoloLens, which just lost a huge contract. Right.
Exactly.
Money out
I was actually going to go there. I was going to go there with you. Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
So and this is another thing I need everybody to hear this, understand. They didn't lay off 11,000 people in the Xbox or Microsoft gaming.
That is correct. It's across the whole company.
Right. They laid off they laid off some people, and these are decisions. And when you run a business, right? Because again, it's always easy for us to go and spend other people's money, right? You should do this because you got a business. If you run a business, and if you have not had to make those difficult decisions, right, where you don't want to do it, it sucks, then don't come pointing your fingers.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And again, that's not to give Microsoft a pass, because again, the optics do look terrible, right?
Mm-hmm.
The optics do look terrible, where it's like you're spending forget about the $70 billion on Activision, because that's going to bring in 10,000 employees, right? But what about the $10 billion they're spending in AI that writes code? Right?
Yeah.
Like, if we're really gonna be worried about something, to me, it is that, right? Because wait till we get to the fourth version of the Chat GPT underlying stuff, because they're already writing code now. Like where does that go? So
Skynet happens is where it
goes.
goes.
No, we're done. We had a good run, people.
Skynet is happening.
It's over. So I want to give other people a chance to talk, but I just think this thing is multi-layered, and I completely understand. Don't anybody want to hear that thing? This is the last thing I want to say, and I've been on this diatribe for a little while, right? And this is just I am going to give a life lesson here. If your sole source of income is an employer who could let you go at a whim as it suits the business, right? You are just a cog in a machine. You are replaceable. You, especially if you work in tech, because if you work in tech, you're making a decent salary. You need to invest that money while you're making it into yourself. Right? You need to have other sources of income. You need to become a private contractor. You need to open side businesses. You need to focus on the side hustle until the main hustle can become optional. Right? You make enough money if you're making $150,000 a year. If you're making $120,000 a year, $180,000, you make enough money to be invested in side things, so that when these things happen, you're not facing death and despair, right? And I say this as someone who tries to live by that. Make sure you're not dedicating your entire life to making someone else rich. Make yourself rich. Use what you know. Use the great tech salaries that you have if you're or any business. This is not related to tech. I'm saying always invest in yourself. Always invest in multiple revenue streams for the event when these rainy days happen.
Good stuff. To listen, that's
and
diversify your portfolio.
I love it. Yes,
you have to be prepared for
he's
these
right.
things because you're a cog in a machine, and they don't care about you.
Think about a Hollywood actor. Do you think that they just act? No,
They have investments out the yin yang.
They do drugs. Yes.
Well, there's that too. They act, they sing, they dance, they do choreography, they do editing, they know how to film. They do all these things because you can't just be the guy who shows up and goes, hey, on camera. You got to do all those things. Same thing in the tech world, same thing in any business. You cannot just be a one-trick pony. Absolutely. All puns intended.
Pun intended. Yes. Pause. With the pony talk. Listen, let's get Wandering Dutch in on the conversation. Dutch, I mean, what do you? We were doing. We had some great conversations in the green room. Let's continue those.
Yeah, I mean, it's not far off what Mag was saying. To be honest, I'm in an industry that does exactly the same thing quite frequently. And for those who don't know, I work in corporate energy, so it's, as you know, right now, energy industry is very much a talking point. And they do exactly the same thing. Fluctuations of the market demand, they will rapid increase and rapid decrease to match the scale and the demand of what they need to do on any given moment. Now, obviously, throughout the pandemic, as everybody knows, they had kind of all this work from home stuff after the pandemic finished, the COVID period, and like kind of mid 2020 going into 2021, 22, then it started on the rapid increase. Getting everybody back into work, hiring like mad, hiring like crazy to meet the demand, to try and make sure the consoles were going out. They were meeting demand of the console kind of manufacturing, making sure that kind of everything was getting done as quickly as possible to get the company back on track from every perspective. And that's because of a lot of the delays that were hindered because of COVID. Naturally, one of the things, and that's exactly the same thing that happens in most industries. The restaurant business is exactly the same throughout COVID. Many restaurants shut down. They had to let go of hundreds of staff. They opened back up on skeleton crew. They rapid hired a lot of people to kind of get back into the grind of things. And then, of course, when they got back into the grind and they hit that level, okay, we'll get rid of the dirt. We've got our core unit. And then we continue.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly the same as what happens in the energy industry. We lost a lot of people throughout the COVID pandemic because, of course, no business was open. There was no business to talk to regarding energy requirements because there was no demand. We rapid scale down. Of course, when it opens back up again, the demand's there again. People get back on the feet. You rapid scale up again. Then, of course, you have issues in the market as you are now. You have to rapid scale down because, again, you've got other businesses struggling to pay for things. They're scaling down. Their demand's scaling down. Likewise does yours. Unfortunately, it's just part and parcel of the problem. Now, what doesn't match, and this isn't, of course, it's not always the case, but what doesn't match is the direct correlation between the finances of a company, how much they make as a company, and trying to say, okay, well, they've got 10 billion in sitting in the bank that can pay for wages. It's got nothing to do with the fact that they can pay the wages. If the work is not there for those people to work on, then there is no requirement for their use anymore. Unfortunately, it's a harsh reality of work, but if there is no business to do business, then there is no requirement for your services. And that's why they call it redundancy. None of these people have been fired. They have been made redundant because their roles no longer exist. Unfortunately, that is just part and parcel of the industry. It was a rapid hire situation, 50,000 staff in literally since 21 to 22. It's a lot of staff rapid hire. And the fact that there's only a reduction, to me, the fact that there's only a reduction out of those 50,000 of 11,000 is actually quite and it sounds ridiculous, but it's a slightly positive take because it could have been far worse, to be honest. We've seen Amazon,
sure. Yeah.
We've seen Amazon shave off almost 20,000, which is pretty much double the layoffs here. We've seen Google do about 12 to 14,000. And it's going to continue that way. All the big tech companies are exactly the same thing. It's scale, economic skills. But at the end of the day, the one thing that I will say is on Microsoft's part, And this goes for people that are working at 343, people that are working at Bungie. And we thankfully have seen this already, but we've seen people that are currently still working at Microsoft already saying, listen, we're doing all we can as a unit internally to make sure that these people find jobs in other companies, whether publishers or tech industries, etc., to make sure that they're working. So I know people are already reaching out to other people, and as Mag and Santi and Everborn have said already, they'll obviously have the qualifications to be able to do the job in the first place. It's not to say that they're terrible at the job, but their work is pretty much already done. Whatever they were working on didn't need to be worked on anymore, which is the only reason Microsoft would have made these decisions. And of course, like you say, rapid investments in certain areas such as AI, etc., mean that certain jobs become redundant because, of course, things can be done quicker and more efficiently in other avenues. It's never easy to see your friends and your work colleagues and things lose their jobs. And again, hopefully a lot of these are translated into maybe cross progression where your role is redundant. However, we may have a role for you in another part of the company. We've seen Microsoft have already came out and said, listen, these roles are redundant. We are still hiring in other sections though. So it could be a case of a lot of these people do end up working in certain other sections of the company that might not necessarily be in the current role that they have. It's tough, but it's unfortunately it is part of the industry. It is part of every major industry, though. Every large industry is going to go through the same pains, especially right now. And no doubt, and I will say this as well, there is absolutely no doubt when this is all fleshed out, and it's going to take a couple of years for this recession to obviously we know we're in a recession, even though, again, much like the US, the government said, no, we're fine, we're all right, we're almost in a recession, but not quite. No, we are in a recession. Just let's just admit it. Once this is ironed out, and it's going to take a good 4 years at least. The 2008 recession took at least 4 years to get rid of and to come back on terms. Once we're back out of this again, it's going to be the same situation. These companies are still going to be going to rapid hire again. You're going to take on another 30, 40, 50,000 staff at least. It's going to continue that way. It's unfortunately teeth and pains of a harsh market at the moment.
The peaks and troughs of an economy. And Nadella gave guidance that he thinks this is going to be a rough 2 years ahead, but they are still investing. And I suspect they're going to be investing heavily in gaming once Activision closes.
Oh, there's no doubt.
I was going to say on that front, specifically on that, this is another thing that people have to take into account. And I think one of the harsh realities of when this deal closes is that it's not going to be as streamlined as just we're taking on another 10,000. Essentially, what they're doing is losing 10,000 from Microsoft. This deal closes, they gain 10,000. That'll also be streamlined. There's going to be they look at the rules there. They look at what is efficient, what isn't efficient.
There'll be more layoffs. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. They're going to absolutely. It's not going to be as harsh, but I guarantee it's going to be in the hundreds, maybe up to 1,000 that might be made redundant from the rules, depending on how inefficient ActiBliz is. Because it could be that there are a lot of inefficiencies in there. And to be honest, when you need 7 studios to make a Call of Duty, there's going to be inefficiencies. So they're going to be looking at those rules, top to bottom, what is definitely required, what isn't required anymore. Let's streamline it. Let's make it more efficient. Okay, let's ready to go. And of course, they'll try and place those staff elsewhere. But if they can't, then no doubt they'll send them off with a hearty recommendation on their behalf. They're not going to downplay any of these staff. What they will do is they'll say, we'll absolutely give you the best recommendations possible so that your next job application's as easy as it can be.
Yeah, I want to talk about that for 2 seconds, Dutch, because I know someone who went through this at specifically Microsoft. And usually when you get that call, they'll give you 2 months. They'll say, okay, it's January now. In March, it's going to be your last day. And in that last 2 months, you're going to get paid for those 2 months. And then you're going to get your severance package, which is based on how many years you've been at the company. So for each so for each year you get some amount of your pay, and that pay, but they don't give it to you over time. They give it to you in a lump sum, and then they let you continue your health insurance, and they will pay it for you for 6 months. And in the 2 months that you have, they will do resume building sessions to make sure your resume looks top notch. Your manager, usually if he didn't also get the axe, they will say, listen, apply for other jobs, and then CC us on it so I can show that, you know, we this was a good employee, and they would just downsize. So I'm not saying that like you want to hear any of this if you get the axe, but Microsoft is, from at least from the people that I know that this has happened to in the past, they are very good, unless you kind of really kind of sucked or you did something bad.
No, I can second what
I
Everborn said.
think,
Yeah.
Whatever
even
Born
in this
said, yeah.
situation, I was going to say, I think even in this situation with the vast chunk of it, I think it'll just be a blanket. Will help everybody.
Yeah, no, they'll do that.
Yeah.
I can second what Everborn said. I work for an American corporation, and they do exactly to a T what Everborn just said. Every last detail is exactly what they do. Obviously, they have the same playbook. So they would do that. And Dutch is right. They're not going to, I don't think they're going to pick and choose. I think they're going to just do it a blanket across the board, help everybody out. And the other thing is, don't forget, it's just like just like a restaurant or just like the hospitality business. It's a small world out there. Everybody knows everybody. They'll call people and be like, hey, you know what? I heard I heard what's going on over there. If you need something, we got room over here because we're hiring someone right now in this and that. And they help each other out. Right? They will all get a job.
Hire a lot of these people back,
and they'll hire them back when there's bigger projects to come up. And from 2027 and 28, when those projects are when they start working on those projects in the next few years, they're going to get those people back because a lot of them is piecemeal work anyway. Right? They're basically what the hell do they call them? The mercenaries. They're basically tech mercenaries at the end of the day. Some of them, right? They move from project to project, and then once the project's over, they get let go, move on to the next one. Right?
I don't have this stomach for the contractor life, but I know.
No, it's not stable enough.
Not the old men that we are. Listen, good stuff from everyone so far. Let's bring in Hargeet Chani, then we'll get Chaos Hunter's opinion, because obviously both of their opinions I cannot wait to hear. Hargeet, what do you got to say about this regarding the because like I said, ultimately the reason why we brought this up into conversation is because it is going across not only gaming media, folks. It is in the media. I understand that this is a video game show, but I would have felt kind of shitty, to be honest with you, pardon my French, if we did not say nothing about it. And there is something to be said, Hargeet, that optics do are part of the conversation, right? Next week, Microsoft is expected to have a huge show. This comes on the heels of Phil Spencer and yesterday winning a huge award from the New York Awards as being considered an icon in gaming. Obviously this is also on the heels of the very contested $70 billion Activision deal. So what are your thoughts, man?
So you got to put it in context. It's 5% of Microsoft, right? And if I were to take 5% of Xbox, which is about, say, roughly 5,000 employees, that's what, 250-ish people. If they've kept it under 100, that's actually Phil pushing to make sure he doesn't lose people, right?
Right.
So you got to also put it in that perspective. What everybody has said is basically what corporate America is, right? Or corporate world. It doesn't matter. This is the way it is, right? You just have to deal with this, especially if you're a public company. They're releasing their quarterly report. I think it's Tuesday. Right,
yes.
The day before the
event.
showcase.
Yep.
And they have to do this. This is basically the way it works, right? They're going to show the numbers, and it's going to come out that they need to reduce, and they're just doing it ahead of time, right? Just the way it is. That's fine. As far as the optics of this, is it really that bad? Because ultimately, is anybody going to remember this 5 months from now? Probably not. It's just a reality.
I mean,
right?
The people that got laid off are going to remember this 5
100%. That's fair, right? But as far as the optics, the optics are really for the consumer, right? And most people totally ignore that these things happen. Did people remember that PlayStation had a layoff last year? How many people remember that?
Yeah.
But that's the thing, right? Consumers don't care. They get games. That's it, right? So ultimately, that's what's going to happen. Sucks, but it is what it is, right? Now, as far as the layoffs themselves, they do seem more like they're taking advantage of this to change things. Redundancies are always there, but the biggest one seems to be 343.
Yes.
They're saying, you guys have made us look like shit. And that's just really it. You guys have made us look like shit. And, Halo was supposed to be the face of Xbox. What have you done? Right. And the campaign being totally just like that team is going away. Right. I don't even know if anybody's left. Maybe there is, but there is a memo going around from the head of 343 saying we're restructuring and focusing on the multiplayer. Right. So if that is the case,
Hargeet, you know what's interesting?
Yep.
They put the guy that fixed Master Chief Collection
at the head, right?
At the head, who is now only going to work on multiplayer. Basically, Halo Infinite's just going to go into the Master Chief Collection template,
potentially. And there's more. Like, this is the first day of layoffs. They've only done under 1,000 so far. They have another 10, 9, 10 to go. Right. So we're going to be hearing this for the next few months as far as people getting laid off. Sean W. put out a video. I don't know if people got a chance to watch it, but he's heard that there are more coming in 343.
Yep.
So this is not the end of their layoffs. I mean, you got to just take the hint. At this point, Halo Infinite is kind of dead, and it's where it is. There might be minor things coming. There's also some rumors that Season 4 has been canned. So Season 3 comes out in March. Don't know if Halo has anything after that. We'll see. But I'm taking this as the hint that Halo is kind of going away. And it's going to go away for a while. And 343 may either go with it or go do something else. Be a support studio, go do some other IP, do something different, right? But that is the big thing from here. Yes, Coalition, I don't know how many they lost, but maybe a couple of people. But again, I think that was them bringing on more people into Coalition to help the other studios, because I think it was something to do with engine developer that they said was redundant. And I can see them doing that because they needed the UE help across so many other studios as they're gearing up, right? So it may just be that they've gotten to the point where hey, this person didn't work out or that person didn't work out. We're just going to get rid of them. It wasn't like it was 60, 70 people in Coalition, right? But yes, there was somebody in Coalition. I don't know what the numbers might be, 4 or 5 people. And then I don't know what it is, whether it's BGS, that does the game studios, or ZeniMax, and those are getting conflated. So if it's ZeniMax, it makes a lot of sense to me because they're literally one of you was it everyone? One of you said they're a publisher. And they have redundancy there. There's just absolutely redundancy there, right? There are marketing people doing stuff. There's show people doing stuff, and it's like, dude, you don't need that many people. Let's cut that back. Whether it's
I would argue keep the ZeniMax people.
Yeah, whether it's the Xbox side or the Zenny side, right? And we don't know. Maybe there are Xbox ones that also were let go. And they kept a couple of Zenny people for certain things and kept a couple of Xbox people for certain things, right? But it seemed like this was just, strategic little things here and there. They're like, we don't need this person, because they're redundant. But 343 got the hammer here, right? And
listen, I got some stuff in front of me. Hargeet, right? To your point, that memo, I have it in front of me, or at least a quote from Jason Schreier.
Yeah.
And he writes this. It sounds like 343 Halo's Infinite campaign team got hit the hardest.
Yep.
In an email to staff, studio head Pierre Heinz wrote that we've made the difficult decision to restructure elements of our team, which means some of those roles are now being eliminated. Mm-hmm. That's part of it. Yeah.
Yep. And focusing back on multiplayer. And so it could be that it goes into that mode where it's like the Master Chief Collection. But I don't know. Here's the thing. The Master Chief Collection is played more than freaking Halo Infinite, and that's sad. Okay.
It is sad.
Halo Infinite has essentially just died, and Microsoft just put the final nail in that. It's just done. I can't see where this gets better unless they come up with a battle royale and that somehow brings people back. Nobody's playing it. The campaign was my next thing that was going to make me excited. But they just said the campaign's done, right? They basically have said.
And I feel like the campaign is what would have brought people back.
Right. I was looking for the next part of the campaign. The endless.
Right here.
If you bring people back,
it's done. It's done.
If you bring people back with the campaign, and now you have co-op and you have Forge, now you got a whole thing going.
They could have done a Borderlands thing, like 4 DLC with big DLC, right? That kind of thing. By the way, speaking of Halo, Boom, I know you'll get to it, But my God, Creative Monster, I had to turn my mic and camera off because I was laughing so hard at his super chat when you get to them.
Yeah, I will get to it. Yeah.
And again, Boom, I agree with you. Halo Infinite campaign.
You see what I mean?
Nice.
I'm so sorry for laughing.
Sorry, Everboard, but like I got derailed by it, so I turned my camera off and my mic off.
Oh no, I saw that. I saw that.
I can't do it.
They did like the SpongeBob "I'm a head out" meme.
That's right. Yeah.
The Halo campaign is one of the greatest Halo campaigns.
It is a pretty good
franchise.
It's fantastic.
But yeah, and it left it open to what was coming next. We know what was coming next, and then we're done.
And then they Snyderversed it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, they Snyderversed it is right. Yeah.
If that's the case, then somebody else is coming in to fix it. I don't know that that's the case. And this is so my guess is,
are they going to Joss Whedon it, or is that what? No.
Yeah, I mean, so I hope not. I don't want a Joss Whedon version of it, but but like I think they're going to shelve this for like a decade. I think it's just gone for a while, and they will come back to it.
They need to do something, Hargeet. Yeah. I'm with you. I know that you're a huge Halo fan.
I'm very annoyed by this. But
if they get Activision, I fear for Halo.
Yeah.
You
may not be wrong.
In regards to what you mean, you fear for the.
I fear that Hargeet will be right, and we won't get a new one for a decade.
I think 343 becomes a support studio for COD. I think that's what ends up happening.
I don't know about that. I think,
either you shut down 343,
a different project.
He just said they're going to get sold to the salt mines. Oh my goodness!
Salt mines.
What they can do?
Oh my!
They're not. They shut down the single player. It's gone. Right. They're going to do what with multiplayer? What's going to bring people back? Right. Whatever they've done has not brought people back. It's just not happening. Forge brought a little bit of a bump, and it's back below that now.
Yeah.
It's not working.
You know what that'll do, right? This will turn into that other game we're going to talk about. If they shelve Halo Infinite and all the quote unquote promises of what's happening next, and it all just kind of goes quiet, and we have ray tracing, and it all goes quiet, it will turn into what the hell's the name of the game? Scalebound. It'll be Scalebound 2.0.
Turn around the multiplayer.
It'll be the news they hang around the neck for a long time.
The game is already dead. It just doesn't know it yet.
In the DM, in the private chat.
Yeah,
I don't want to say that out loud, but
no, I will check it. Keasante, you were pointing when Hargeet was talking regarding some. Everyone had amazing points. Let's get your opinion on this. Obviously, this is a tough subject because, like I said, folks, I understand this is a video game podcast. You're here to talk about gaming, but every now and again, something crosses my desk as a creator, as a content creator, I just can't simply ignore. Like I said, layoffs are happening. Yes, it's happening across the world, and it sucks. And I wanted to talk about it. Again,
that was something I wanted to talk about. Boom, was the optics. This actually could work in their favor as far as the regulators. Because they could use it as a concession. I was going to say the
same thing.
Okay,
they could use it as a concession.
Really?
So you can't have a massive layoff of ABK employees for 2 years, 3 years, whatever, right? And they could just say, "Fine, to hell with it, let's do it."
Just like the reason
I didn't even consider that to be quite honest with you, Hargeet.
Interesting. Just one thing I want to say: I don't agree that like Halo is dead. I do believe that the campaign, we are not going to see that anytime soon, and I don't think we see another Halo campaign till whatever the next Halo is, and God knows how many years that is out. And I don't think they will rush if they get Activision. So Halo Infinite is what you will get, but I still Activision and Call of Duty makes me feel like Microsoft will shift focus away from Halo, and they won't rush to get the next whatever is after Infinite out.
Yeah, it's moving, Joe off of it. Joseph Staten, however you say it, that's just the final thing for me. Like, you took off the guy that made this stuff, and he's not, who's making this campaign then? So that's why I think it's a long ways off. They're going to put it on the shelf for a while. Right, and then potentially bring it back when they can actually do something.
Yeah, they're going to go to I think Halo 6 or whatever it's going to be called is going to be an entirely different animal. And I think it's going to be engines are changing, people are changing.
I still don't know if I buy that engine changing, but I really want to be clear. I think that Halo Infinite could still become Sea of Thieves. I think that's a thing that could happen, especially with the certain affinity battle royale.
Assuming that's continuing.
Yeah. Assuming that is continuing.
So let me quickly, and everybody has really like touched on all the points that are very valid. You know, it is very much a business centric move. You know, I too work in corporate America. From where you know, for those who don't know, I just happen to work in pharmaceutical corporate, doing a lot of technical work there. I too lead a bunch of teams to do a lot of business work. So we all come at it from corporate cogs and certain wheels. We'll just put it at that. But the side of the house that I think we kind of maybe didn't look at clearly enough, and I've listened to a lot of folks talk on this point, and you guys are all absolutely correct. But I even like when I saw this come down the Twitter timeline, and who I happened to see was Tom Warren, and the way he put it kind of put my brain to a certain place on it. And I think maybe you guys can help me think about this a little bit. When he said it's affecting a lot of divisions, it came from this level: HoloLens, Microsoft Edge, marketing, 343, and Bethesda. Each, with the exception of marketing and maybe Bethesda, which has a very logical explanation, each of the others have a very valid reason to downsize. Each of them do. HoloLens has literally just decided, like what as recently as 2 weeks ago, they decided to completely turn around the project they're doing. They lost they had a huge contract with the U.S. government that they lost, but the U.S. government agreed to pay and fund for a second revision of the hardware to see if they could like the next version. But they're no longer doing with HoloLens what they were doing anymore. They're not heading in that direction anymore. So they have a bunch of redundant employees, not to mention that the person that was leading the project ended up being a human troll. So they had to kick rocks and get rid of him real quick. So that made that whole entire endeavor a bit more toxic. So HoloLens had to go. That was top of the list. Edge, Microsoft has been trying to get their handle on browsers forever. And what did they do? They didn't beat them. They joined them. They basically just took Chrome's original engine and built Edge on Microsoft's Chromium, the Chromium engine, and they built Edge on top of that. So now all Edge is just Chrome in Microsoft skin, right? So the entire team that needed to create the engine and all that stuff that you've been dealing with in your operating system for all these years, they don't need them anymore. Right? Most of the meat and potatoes, if you will, of that engine is created by Google. So a whole bunch of folks no longer necessary in the Edge department. Yes, then we're talking marketing. That I thought was weird because they just got a marketing contract from Netflix, but they're using different technologies there, and they're using more AI technology for marketing rather than actually marketing individuals. So that makes sense there as well. And then of course 343, which you guys have fully outlined why they need to reverse course. They literally got rid of the entire leadership team like 6 months ago, right? Not even. So it makes absolute positive sense, right? And then finally, Bethesda. Absolute truth. They hired Bethesda, made everything mea culpa. Everybody's wonderful and happy. Did not hear anyone got fired. Did not hear anyone's job got lost. That was an impossible dream. I was waiting for that shoe to drop. So the reason why I was pointing is when Hargeet said they were using it to take advantage, all of these specific sectors in their business have had reason to downsize for a while now, specifically Bethesda. They've had reason to downsize for a while now. You've heard reports come out where they haven't even integrated their healthcare system. They've left them exactly in stone, exactly as they were when they were hired, when they were brought in, right? So if you had a crappy deal with Bethesda, you still have a crappy deal. You just happen to work for Microsoft while still having your crappy deal. They have not integrated anything into Microsoft yet, right? So this was all ripe to happen. And I think because now's the time and everyone's doing their own round, just like Hargeet said, they're taking advantage and using that to basically clean up the places that they've wanted to clean up for a while now. And each of these things, if you really delve even the surface layer deep, you'll see that they're all been waiting for implosion or waiting for cleanup. And it's almost like Microsoft just decided to rip the Band-Aid off today on all of the various environments. Now, obviously, 343, that's our heart, so we pay close attention to that. But all these other sectors have similar black eyes. They've just been waiting to be cleaned up until today, So I completely agree with everybody. It's just, it is what it is. It sucks for those who it happens to. And I used to be, as you guys call it, what did you call it, Mag? What the heck? What there was a name you used for them? Contractors.
Mercenaries?
Oh, the
mercenaries.
people.
Mercenaries.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't know what you were getting at.
I was a mercenary for 10 years, so I know exactly how it feels. Sir.
Hey, man, you're a gun for hire, right?
I had the axe back here,
That's right.
Every
It's
time
a
you need it,
dangerous game, but it's profitable if it works for you.
We called it a technical
Those are
cell
lucrative.
sword. That's what it was. I was a
pays,
technical cell sword.
It pays well
It is
because
what
you're
it
walking
is,
the edge of madness on a regular basis.
But then the problem is when these things happen to you, all of a sudden you have family at home and you don't know where your insurance coming from, and that's a problem. So I say that we all of us say this not to say that we agree with how business is done. It's just is what it is, and I suspect if any of us have been through as long as we have been in the industries that we have been, we've come close to feeling the same pain before as well. So we definitely feel for those out there. It's just unfortunately nature of the beast.
I was a real estate broker in 2008. I'm just gonna.
Wow!
And now you know why I went into technology.
Can you imagine? Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah,
and I happened to buy my house in 2008 because the deals were hot that time.
Yeah, they were hot deals.
That's right.
I wish I would have bought my house in 2008.
I worked in the automotive industry.
At least you didn't buy a Tesla right before they dropped the price by like $20,000.
By $21,000.
Oh, that's neither here nor there.
Ask your money back or something. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We have over 520 people here in the chat. I hope that you enjoyed this very adult conversation. I really wanted to have it. I think it was everyone handled it like a champion. Again, are you going to hear other podcasts talk about this? Maybe, but I'm proud that we talked about it because it is important ongoings. It is something that's currently happening right now. It's current events, and it is important because we are gamers, and this is going to somehow affect us in a way. Specifically, Hargeet, myself, and everyone, several other people who are huge fans of Halo and single player. Well, we're just not going to get that, and that kind of sucks. I'm going to be honest with you. I've never been on the Fire 343 bandwagon. I've never been there because they're people, and some bad decisions were made, and those people they're no longer there. This is a big problem. Halo is a paramount IP for Microsoft. It is their Kratos. It is. Halo is supposed to be as strong and as proper as Mario is for Nintendo.
Yeah,
and it's not, folks. And I just don't understand as an Xbox fan first how the Master Chief, this one IP, this one character. Let's call a spade here, folks. It made Xbox what it is today. The fact that he is on one knee right now is baffling to me. It is mind-boggling with the amount of monies that Microsoft has at their disposal. How is the Master Chief down on one knee? I don't get it. Maybe these.
Well, I like that scene where he got on one knee in Infinite.
Okay, but unfortunately, we're not talking
you
about
smart
that.
ass, Everborn.
Yeah, we're
I had to. I'm sorry.
It was a powerful imagery for sure, no doubt. But in the reality of gaming spaces, how is it the face of Xbox, the one dude that literally made the brand popular, that made people wait in line for 3 days to get the next game, is like a chump? He's like a sidekick. I don't get it, folks. And I'm not going to pull any punches here. Xbox should be ashamed of themselves. I will say that. As a fan of Halo, I still play Infinite. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
I have no idea what the future is, and that's pretty shitty. I'm going to be honest with you. But with that said, let me catch up with some of the super chats. One of which maybe I have never busted out laughing on camera live as the host as I just did. This is the funniest thing I've ever read. But we have Drawn DJ drops a very generous additional $5 super chat and says, it's $8 for a dozen eggs. It's BS, and gas is $3.55 for regular in the state of Washington. Yes, it's high everywhere, brother. And thank you for the generosity. We super appreciate it here. Highlander 001, who's been a channel member for 6 months, drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, yes, MS, let's go. 11 employees, and all I hear on Twitter is MS is in trouble, and yet nothing about Amazon letting 18,000 people go. Yet no one says that they're in trouble. Console wars are dumb. Indeed, they are. X-Man drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, I bet you were going to see more Xbox games on time. I don't know.
One can only hope.
One can only hope. Stuff Sean drops a very generous £5 super chat and says, I just finished Gotham Knights. I'm at the end of right now. He says,
I finished it with my wife just 3 days ago.
Oh, that's awesome. While listening and loved it. I absolutely love it. I think it's phenomenal. I went through redundancy 5 years ago and it sucked. It's just business, but I feel for them. Yeah, absolutely. Highlander 001 drops an additional $5 super chat and says Microsoft is having their investment call next week. That is where we will hear what divisions lost, how many people. You should get Benji sales on. I've tried. Yeah. That dude is incredibly hard to get a hold of. Super busy. He doesn't blow people off. Benji's a good dude. I've talked to him. I know him. He's a great dude. He's just really, really busy. I will definitely try for sure. Creative Monster drops a $10 super chat and says Halo Infinite campaign DLC went out for milk and cigarettes and is never coming. I can't. That's good. That's probably that's probably the comment of the year so far. Absolutely incredible.
I do miss the X-Men, but I just heard from somebody within Microsoft.
Okay.
Let me know something interesting.
Okay, X-Men, Sir X-Men drops an additional very generous $2 super chances. I think layoffs will scare developers to produce. Potentially, I would imagine maybe a lot of people said that if you're not producing and you're having Appletinis for 3 hours, you're going to lose your job.
Some people are using layoffs to scare people to come back to the office. I blame Elon again.
Don't start that. Don't start that whole thing.
Hey, he's not wrong. Everborn's not wrong there.
He's not.
That's happening.
Listen, I know. Cattle to these companies. Yeah. I'm saying it. So, what
were you going to say about your?
Oh yeah. Listen. So from what I heard, obviously we hear a lot about the the 343s and all that, but as some people have said, that's this. I didn't hear this. I didn't hear this part. Like the 343 stuff was probably stuff that was a long time coming, just from the restructuring, and they want to get that right. But the limited integration studios, meaning the studios that they purchased, they are really more seeing budget cuts than layoffs, thankfully.
Okay.
So, and again, I think the ZeniMax stuff is just there actually is redundancy there, and they couldn't keep doing that forever, right?
Yeah.
It's not a charity. And then the 343 stuff, I think we can all imagine, why some.
I mean, think about it. But until recently, you could have never gotten away with it until everybody started talking about economic factors, right? Microsoft could have laid people off from ZeniMax a long time ago because the deal has been
in any other acquisition that would happen. Disney did it right away with Fox.
Exactly.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
They waited
AT&T
and waited.
Did it right away when they bought Warner Brothers. And then Discovery did it again when they did that. It was like day 2.
That's
day 1 was sign the ink, pop the champagne. Day 2,
Microsoft waited until they could get people to be on board with we're raising $70 games. They waited until they could, you know what I mean?
Like that actually happens.
But they waited until they could make that news as palatable as possible. So I don't think this was something that was just unfortunately befalling them. They, like exactly as Hargeet said, they waited because they have so many organizations within that one big umbrella. You know, they found all the cleanup needing to be done, and today was cleanup day. Unfortunately, you know, it is what it is. Unfortunately.
Well, listen, folks. Again, 500 people here. Shout out to all the super chats. Another one came in. I'll get to it momentarily. I gotta talk about Scalebound because this is everyone's laughing. This is the title.
Scalebound has the cordyceps disease.
It is a zombie franchise that continues to come back. Listen, I'm only bringing it up because I pulled a story from, of course, Pure X.
And the spores are the rumors.
Yeah,
just keep spreading.
PureXbox.com. And it's funny because John of Xbox Era and Special Nick are doing their podcast, which, of course, the Xbox Era podcast is fantastic. And almost the entire time, this is what John looks like. He's like this, folks, and Special Nick, because listen, I love Nick, and as a matter of fact, Nick is going to be on with us next week as well. OBM is going to be joining us. Those are two of many. I think we're going to get King David and a few others. It's going to be a giant party next Wednesday. We're going to be covering it. I got new artwork that I'm going to be previewing. Like I said, Asante, you got a chance to take a look behind the curtain. Honestly, I'm not tooting my own horn. Probably best work I've ever done so far. Honestly,
absolutely.
Said I'm not tooting my own horn, but beep.
I had to do it. I tell you, I've had such a problem with thumbnails from the first couple of years of being a content creator, and I look back at them and I'm like, God, I wouldn't.
That is the hardest part of finding your own voice, and I will concur that you have found your own voice, sir.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. But listen, I'll go first to you because you were laughing the hardest when I said we got to talk about this. Special Nick says, okay, and again, he's gotten it wrong, but he's gotten it right. They're in talks. This is an IP that is dead now, but may not be dead a year from now or 2 years from now. I mean, listen, I want to see it come back. I do. I really was. I didn't dig so much the headphones on the Dragon guy. Like I didn't really, but I do want to talk about it.
Knights wearing headphones. It makes no sense. Bring back Quantum Break. Do not waste time.
I do want Quantum Break too. It's like Sean Ashmore was out there pimping that.
Yeah, he was pimping that for sure. I saw that. I saw the tweet. I was like, hey, now he's already ready to go.
That's because Iceman died in the last X-Men movie, so he's got nothing going on.
Is Scalebound coming back, Asante?
So, okay. The fact that not only did Special Nick and also Randolph Thor and Jez Corden, they all talked about it, right?
Yeah, they did.
So if they are speaking about it, then it is as real as it can possibly be. I hold them in high regard, right? I hold them in now, Hargi, you see what I did there, right? I left room to breathe because it's as real as it possibly can be. Doesn't necessarily mean it's actually real and we could play it, but it's as real as it possibly could be because they would not lie. They would not, I hold them in high regard. So there's that. So let us live in the world where this thing is actually true. Who knows? But let's just live there for a moment. Why, Microsoft? Why? Please let this thing die. Oh my God. Anyway, so the reason why I say this, forgive me, this is the stream of consciousness. I say this because at this point, and I said this to you guys before, at this point, all I can foresee for this franchise is what do you call it? Duke Nukem Forever. Right? Where the hype is built up so much that it can only fall flat on its freaking face. Like, there's just no way on earth this game comes out.
Monster Hunter. Call it what it is.
And they already have another team making a Monster Hunter game. Like, this game no longer exists.
What if that's Scalebound?
Stop.
This
game only exists, if it exists, to fulfill, to do right by a narrative that no longer matters. Like, it just doesn't matter. Let it die. And the potential pitfalls of it coming out and being terrible are just so it's almost assured, right? It's like you're literally falling, you're tripping on yourself.
Babylon's falling.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Game of the year. I'll tell you that right now. Game of the year. It's my top 10.
And let's be real here. Like, to your point, Boom, about the headphones, they're gonna have to stop dating themselves and use these headphones instead now, right? These are the Air Force. These are the AirPods Max. Because if you go Beats, everybody will know exactly where you're from at this point, right? They're gonna have no choice but to strike a new stone. None of this is necessary. None of it is necessary. How about an IP that actually was somewhat successful and now we want back?
Right.
How about that?
Son of
Yes,
Rome.
please take whatever the budget of this is and give it to Crytek. Please, just do that. I'm sorry, I'm done. Forgive me. This should not exist. I'm sorry.
Mag, let's get your opinion on this.
Yes,
you're a big fan of dragons, obviously. Scalebound. Is it a running joke? Does this game actually see a release, or is this just more nonsensical shenanigans?
There's a possibility. First of all, I would love to be able to comb through the shows. It's impossible. But Boom, you and I talked about it on one of the shows way back when this panel looked a lot different.
Yes.
And we talked about how it was possible that Microsoft Game Studios or Bethesda were going to make Scalebound because remember how did they buy the IP name or did they sell it?
No, they own it.
They own it. Right.
Yeah,
and it was around the time that they own the name and own it. I'm like, so what's going to stop them? What's going to stop them, especially when they adopted like 10 studios? Go ahead, Hargeet, laugh all you want. But let me tell you something. Chapek over at Disney, the man who got, that whole situation, he got punched in the balls in there. But guess what he did right before he left? He's like, everything Iger did sucked because you're seeing it right now, and it's all losing billions of dollars. Go ahead, fight me if you think I'm wrong. But here's the thing.
Mag,
yes,
you're telling me they're gonna exit stage left on anything related to Crackdown, but then they're gonna put that money into Scalebound?
Yes. Yeah. Hold on, hear me out. As a smaller project. Now here's the thing. This is what Chapek did. Chapek was sitting around going, man, everything Iger greenlit was garbage. And he goes, what do the kids like? What does everybody like? He's probably as clueless as everybody else who runs those companies. He's like, what do the kids think is hot right now? And they're like, well, we haven't had Deadpool 3 yet. And he goes, do it, Deadpool 3. And let's bulk it up a little bit for some of the other people. Who else would be really good in there? I don't know. We could call Wolverine in. It'll cost us like $80 million. Who cares? Get him in there. And what did they do? They threw it in there because the thing is, because people still talk about it. What do people in the Xbox community still, for whatever reason, still talk about?
Scalebound, brother.
Top of the chain. So they talk about that, and they're like, how could we immediately, with one fell swoop, get the good graces of the Xbox community back in? And because 2022 was a real bad year and everything else. How do you get people's hype gap up? All right, just announce Scalebound again and let's see what happens. No. And then you know what? Make it hot, make it good, make whatever. I don't care either way. You know why?
They didn't hear Son of Rome.
It back.
They didn't hear
when Son of Rome. I want to see that. I want to see.
They didn't hear Boom screaming about the bird and bear. All that just went on deaf ears. They had to bring back the freaking beats, dude.
Like, no, and that what? And I'm telling you, don't let Platinum Games do it. Hell with those guys. I say sever all ties with Japan. I say forget it. Don't do it. Bring it, do it. Everything that's in house, Western divisions only. Don't deal with them. Do third party deals with them. Don't do anything that's going to be co-produced because look what happened last time. You got burned, okay? Because they did not respect. I'm telling you right now, they didn't respect the American company to do that. That's the problem at the end of the day. That's what I feel anyway.
Yeah,
but
they made Ninja Turtles one of the worst ones in the entire history.
Ridiculous. Terrible. Don't give it to them. But here's the thing. I think. Why not? And you know what the thing is at the end of the day? If anybody's got, like any of us, we got Game Pass subscribed to like 2076. You know what the thing is? We're just going to play for free anyway. So who cares if it's good or not? I just want this to end. Yeah, I want the story to be over. I just want it to be like, okay, you know what? Can someone please finally kill Schwarzenegger in a Terminator movie and just call it a day instead of keep bringing him back for different versions of it? Just leave it alone.
It's like there's a punch coming at you and it's 2 blocks away and it's moving at a snail's pace and it's just coming and you just refuse to move out of the way.
I want to ride a dragon wearing headphones, listening to Love Gun. That's what I want to do, okay? God damn it.
Love Gun, I know. You know what? Why can't we just get a House of the Dragon game from what the hell is it called? What the hell's a studio that's making Senua's Sacrifice? I can't remember.
Ninja Theory.
Ninja Theory. Okay, can't you just make a House of the Dragon game from Ninja Theory and just call it a life? Okay, as soon as they're done with Senua's Saga and they're finished taking pictures on Iceland Beach, okay, when they're done doing all that nonsense, go make a House of the Dragon game and forget about it. Anyways, I'm just joking around. Either way,
I get it. Argy, you're laughing the hardest out of here. Come on, let's talk Scalebound, brother.
So the funny, so I don't know if you all watched the episode of XNC where Jazz was there and somebody super chatted about a Scalebound and Colt's like, okay, Jazz, like this is stupid, right? Why are we? And Jazz was silent. And that's what started one of the rumor mills of, wait a second, are you saying this thing is real? And then Special Nick starts his thing and says, I got I think he said 2 confirmed sources. Or
Two.
something like that.
Yeah, two. He has 2 sources. Yeah.
It's like, okay, look, Platinum Games. What are they making? Like everybody's kind of like they were looking for a project, right?
Well, they're looking for a project. I mean, they did. Listen, Bayonetta 3, amazing. Like I got to be honest with you, folks. I know that's the A team that did that, and they do have some some people on other teams that aren't as talented. If that team that made Bayonetta did Scalebound with I think we could have something special. I'm just saying.
So it is very possible that they are working with them to do this. Microsoft might be working, Xbox might be working with them to make that game again. It's viable.
It's true. I mean, I see him shaking his head. Everborn, I'm with you, but I'm looking at the games list. Near Automata, Astral Chain.
No,
they
stop
do
it.
have some
Stop right
on
there. Stop it, because now you're giving people hope. I am gonna quote
There's always hope.
Cleaning lady named Consuela and say, no.
So like the thing is like first Platinum was looking to be bought and they're looking for a game to make, right?
Right.
And the last couple of games they've made kind of didn't do well, right? So it's very possible that both of those things might be something interesting to Xbox. They need Japanese studios. This is a Japanese studio that does have 0 IP, but they do have some pretty good games that they've made. I don't know if they've owned anything they've done. I think pretty much.
I don't think they actually do, to be honest with you.
I think everything they've made for other companies, right? So, so it'd be relatively cheap to even buy the studio because you're really just buying the talent.
Wait, now you want to bring them in house?
Yes.
What are we doing here? What is happening? What? Oh my!
I mean,
God.
you want an investment in that region of the world. You have Tango Games starts.
That's the wrong.
They don't want Sega, brother. I want Sega. You want Sega. I don't think they want Sega.
You know, everyone. I don't disagree with the Sega or the publisher thing, but that's a bigger fight. Just look at where they are with ABK, and after this, it's going to be tough for them to get any publisher, right? Whereas a small studio that's going to be like, I don't know, 50, 100 million, you just get it. You don't even have to go through a regulatory approval because it's too small.
Like Asobo.
Right? Asobo would be good, but they own IP, right?
Notice none of these studios that I'm mentioning is Platinum Games. But please continue. I'm sorry.
Asobo is going to come with IP, right?
Yeah.
And Asobo, you then have to pay for the IP. That'll probably put it in the 500 to $1 billion range, right? Then it's going to get regulatory scrutiny again.
It wouldn't
be
just
500 what it is.
To $1 billion if Crystal Dynamics sold with Tomb Raider.
I know. I can't even imagine how those IPs sold for that little, right? That was a fire sale. That was a fire sale.
100% a fire sale. Still breaks my heart to this day.
Right? I mean, that definitely should have been over $1 billion. But anyway, whatever. But that's my fear there, right? It won't be under that regulatory approval like limit, right? So if it's small enough, Platinum is small enough, you could just pick it up and also tell them, hey, let's just do this game, Scalebound, right? Now you don't have this budget.
And by the way, while I was poking around their stats, they have a PlayStation exclusive releasing in 2023. We know this, right?
Yeah, there is. I saw someone posting about it the other day. What's the name of it again?
It's called Grand Blue Fantasy.
That's the one. Yeah. I saw that.
Yeah, it was developed in 2019, and now it's scheduled to release in 2023. PS4, PS5, and PC.
Well, the source material for that is very interesting, but let Sony buy them then. We don't need to entertain this.
I like what Hargeet's putting down. That's because I want Scalebound. I'm going to be honest with you.
So it is viable. I'll just say that it is viable. If there are enough rumors, sometimes there is, there's something to it.
But the question, Hargeet, is why? Like, do you think there's any appetite for like recipe for success where this game is good and people go, oh, it was worth all the wait and the hype? Really? There's a world where this is successful?
There are things I would say, right, is Microsoft tried to work with a Japanese studio and then pulled the funding. That doesn't look good to other Japanese studios either, right? Because if they're going to put their stuff, their work into it, and you halfway say, I'm done, and walk away, well, they're going to say, I don't want to do a game with you. Right, that becomes a headache. I mean,
right? Platinum did come out and say the fault was theirs after years
they can say mea culpa.
Sniping.
Fair enough. But part of that mea culpa was that Microsoft said, use this engine. And they're like, okay, we have to learn this engine. Cool. That took us longer than we expected. Okay, so look, and they may
Wait,
do the
what
same
engine
thing
was it that Microsoft told them to use?
Was it Unreal? I don't.
Yeah,
know.
it was
I think it was
Unreal.
I think
the
it was
most
Unreal
popular
four.
Unreal
engine
4.
in
It was
industry.
Unreal 4.
Well,
Sure.
Yeah.
Popular with some developers. It's not popular with every developer, right? They had the engines they use, and they were used to that. And just like anybody else, learning a new engine is learning a new engine. It is what it is, right? So fair enough, right? So that took them longer, and Microsoft was in we're about to die mode, and they had to choose Scalebound or Xbox One X, and they chose One X. Okay,
There are
that's a
there are
choice.
many
It is what it is,
IPs,
right?
many IPs that they potentially could go and rekindle.
100%.
I am just still stunned
But this
that
might
this is
might
the
be
one.
a way to reintroduce themselves into the Japanese market to say, but on the flip side, we already heard that they were partnering with, was it 200 Japanese developers?
200 of them. Yes,
Right.
that is correct.
So
yeah.
They're also
but I
working with
Where's-
Kojima. Like,
Where's
right?
Blue Dragon? That was a spark that people liked, and that's Japanese.
Lost Odyssey, even better
Lost
so.
Odyssey. You know what
Fair
I'm saying?
enough.
Like of all
Fair
of them,
enough.
really.
But this
I'm
does
like,
just finish that game up, right? So it says, fine, we will commit and finalize. That's just one potential thought, right? But so that might be a reason to do something like that. Again, from a consumer perspective, we may say, hey, why bother? This is stupid. Why? But they might have this business reason to say, well, we'll finish what we did, right? And that way, when we go to another developer, and say, hey, can we partner on a new game? We want to own the IP. They won't feel as uncomfortable, and that's just something to think about, right? You have to look at it from a Japanese culture perspective. It's very insulting to do what they did, right? That's just a reality, and Japan doesn't. They don't like that. That's just the way it is, right? So you have to look at that part of it. It might be part of it. It may have nothing to do with it, right? But I'm just saying that might be a reason to do something like that. But I don't know if it makes any sense, just like you're saying. I would much rather have the game. Like, I like Blue Dragon. I thought that was great. And
Blue Dragon was
having
fantastic.
a sequel to that would be
and they
fantastic.
have an IP. They have a finished product that you can point to, that you can play and say, "See, that was good, right? More of the same of that." Yes,
But yeah,
rather than a spark and a trailer that nobody ever saw in their hands. You know?
It's just one of many, I guess, stokes of in the oven, so to speak. And I wouldn't mind. Like I said, I think it would be a real cool story if this game went from obscurity to something AAA. You know what I'm saying? Like, it came out and it was like, wow.
In your world, Boom, where it comes out and it's actually like Panzer Dragoon good. Like, oh my God, it's really good. Oh yeah, I would love to. These are the digital receipts, folks. Come back, throw it in my face. See, you were wrong. I'd be happy to take it. But that is a high uplift.
It's what I'm asking is what some people would consider impossible to attain.
What you're asking is basically telling me that Sonic Frontiers is going to beat Ragnarok. You crazy? I mean, come on.
I still the numbers were that voters didn't go and do what they were supposed to.
Your knees are mine already at this point. Come on.
But now, putting it in the portfolio, this is something like you're saying, like a Monster Hunter type game. And well, that exists, Monster Hunter, but also Xbox was working with somebody to make an exclusive Monster Hunter type game.
They're currently working with the same team that's going to do the Halo Battle Royale. Digital.
So so if that game is already in the works, then you got to figure, okay, that's kind of covered. Do we really need another one, right? But again, they need Japanese games,
and that one doesn't have the Stankonia of history. You know what I mean?
Right. So
the other one doesn't.
So I don't know. Right. It is possible, but. I
know, Hargy. It's a hard pill to swallow for sure.
But
I still want
to buy the studio and make the game. It is possible.
Yeah. I like it. I like it. Wandering Duchess, get your opinion on this, brother. Scalebound, could it come back? Is Jez Corden's silence deafening? I say it is.
There's a specific person, one of our panel members, Vin, and there's a specific reason we created an emoji just for Vin, the timeout emoji, and that is every time he mentions Scalebound, he gets the timeout emoji in chat.
Vin, if you're listening, I'm fighting for you.
Anytime he mentions Scalebound, no matter where he is, the timeout emoji appears. So yeah, it's No, do not. It's mainly because I do not trust the studio head at Platinum. The bloke shouldn't be in game development, to be honest. He treats anyone. He's extremely, should we say, I wouldn't say racist, but basically, unless you speak Japanese, he doesn't want to talk to you.
Yeah,
More
he's
like nationalist.
Yeah, nationalist. Basically, unless you speak Japanese, he just doesn't want to know, and he blocks you, and he calls you a roach or something like that.
Is it Kamiya?
A cockroach or an
Kamiya?
insect. Insect, that's the one. So I don't like the bloke. And an
Hideki
attitude like
Kamiya.
that. Yeah, an attitude like that shouldn't be anywhere near gaming. To be honest,
I agree. I agree. That kind of behavior is unnecessary. I mean, I don't know if he what involvement he would have, but yeah, that's definitely a wall.
Aside from that specifically, goes again with the money that Microsoft invested, and then they invested in other projects and not actually in the original IP, which was technically terrible. Like going off the original showcase that they gave off for the game. This is the gameplay, and it was barely hitting 20 frames. It was a technical mess, and the reason Microsoft cancelled it originally was because they couldn't get the grips with the technical aspects of the game, and it just wasn't performing at all. And they weren't fixing what was broken in order to get that into a working place and actually get the game shipped. So I don't see, from a trusting perspective, it's like one spitting, twice. You know what I mean? Why would Microsoft go down for the third and get the hand bitten off? I just don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to me from a trusting perspective as a large organization why you would go back to someone who's already burnt you twice.
I call it a slow-moving punch in the face that you just refuse to walk away from. Like, it's coming. It's slow. You could just walk off, just take a step to the side. No, we'll just stand.
It's like the guy from Austin Powers, you know, when the steamroller's coming at him. No! And then it pans out and it's going slow. There it is. That's it. That's exactly what it is.
And we're all just in the sidelines going, move the hell out the way.
I'm going to die on this hill alone, apparently, but I want Scalebound, damn it. I'm sorry.
No, I want it too, Boom, but I want it for free.
I
ain't paying nothing for it.
We get it in Xbox Game Pass.
That's it. I'll try it. If it sucks, I'll turn it right off. I'll just uninstall, move on.
I'm surprised in you, sir. You have an entire dragon-based IP. How would you not want to see this come back?
Oh no, I love dragons. I just like dragons where they're good. And
here's dragons with hip hop and not dubstep.
Exactly. The thing is this. I would even take some dragons with jazz, but
jazz dragons.
Xbox, please, Phil Spencer, if you're listening, maybe you are. Platinum Games and Scalebound is the toxic ex-girlfriend where the sex wasn't even good. There's no reason to go back, right? If we do get this thing, it will literally be the same game that is still just as broken, but they have the benefit of 12 teraflops to help keep the frame rate at 28 frames a second. Right?
Like, good old Nintendo game.
Exactly. Like this is unnecessary. You're doing this to tick off a box that no one really cares about. And I'm going to let you guys in on something. Nobody liked Scalebound. They only hate the fact that they couldn't have it. They hate the fact that it was a black eye on Xbox. No one was interested when it was first showed off. Nobody liked it. It was just like, damn it. Phil Spencer, you messed up again. Make this right. You don't want to play the game. You're not going to beat the game. Platinum Games doesn't care about you. Forget about it. Rise, Son of Rome. You could get Crytek. You could get that engine. You could bring a part 2 back for that. That game is universally, it is a cult classic now, even though the media disrespected it. You could bring back Quantum Break 2. You had the nerves to let Alan Wake go multiplat, but now you're talking about bringing back Scalebound. Give me a break. I don't want to hear about the game. I don't want to hear about.
He's wrong usually, but he's right now.
Even when I'm wrong, I'm right. The point is, Platinum Games, apart from the Switch game, Bayonetta, what do we have to go on in their high performance console section, since that's apparently a thing now according to legalese? What do they have? Right? They have Babylon's Fall. Does that inspire you?
They did Astral Chain. They've done some pretty good games. We can't just take those away. They've done some good games.
They did those games while Microsoft was paying them.
Yeah,
exactly. Thank you very much. With Microsoft money, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, I will say they can't stop me. In chat says he's wrong, and now he's wrong.
Wow.
So the point is, I think there's other IP that is. Listen, I would even take a Record 2 over a Scalebound.
You know what? I would actually take that too. Record had its moments. It had its moments. It had potential. It's like Uncharted 1.
Yeah. Right.
If you build on it, you would have had an Uncharted 2.
Treybone actually just said he wants a Record 2. Yeah, I agree.
I don't want Platinum Games in the fold at Xbox Game Studios.
Nope, I don't want them either.
It's too risky. It could go too sour, and they could end up having to spin off that company like they did Bungie before. Don't do it, for the love of Pete.
I mean, the CEO of that company was blocking Phil Spencer on Twitter until Philly started dropping the bag, and now all of a sudden it's
now you coming around. Look at that.
Yeah, well, that's how it works. When the ex-girlfriend sees you doing well, that's when she starts ringing you up again. Well, come on.
Right. You now you got the wife and the family in the big house.
That's right.
And she's calling you up. Hey, I've been thinking about you. No.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not gonna curse.
Too late.
I'm not gonna curse. I promise myself. The point is, stop this madness. Stop talking about it, because the more we talk about it,
the more it's going to be a reality.
Yes. We've seen many things.
Basically, you're saying don't mention that such name, because if you say that name, he will come around.
Say Scalebound 5 times in front of the mirror. It'll show up behind you.
I love it.
Look, listen, bring back Cameo before you bring back.
Dude, Cameo was dope, dude. Like, Cameo is a very underrated game.
That, though, right?
Freaking,
they don't usually.
Rare doesn't want to do a lot of things, dude.
Yeah.
They don't want to do a lot of things to somebody else. They could give Cameo to somebody else.
Buy the IP Pandemonium that no one's done anything with for 25 years. Make the craziest platform game you ever seen, and let's have some fun with it. Come on, Rare, you can do it. Microsoft's got the money for it.
It's a good option. It would take.
I was going to say the thing is with Raid now is they've said is we want to focus on new IP. We don't want to go back to old stuff.
Yeah, they have to, I mean, no offense to anybody at Rare. Yeah, they want to move forward.
Whatever they want.
They're proud of their history. They appreciate all the work that they did back in the days, but they want to move forward with new IP.
Oh yeah, they've said themselves, like, we've got no issue with anybody else creating a new version of those old IPs, but we're not going to work on them.
Perfect Dark, for instance, that's coming, right?
But let's be real here. Who at Rare is actually still Rare? They're not Rare anymore. So why do you expect the same Rare output from them? Give the IP to somebody else.
All of the actual, a good chunk of the original Rare team that made like Banjo-Kazooie did Ukulele. Like that studio over there.
And what did Ukulele do?
All Rare people.
Nothing.
Ukulele didn't do much, right? So I think they don't want to get a Rare doesn't want to get put in that Bungie situation where you're never as good as your last big hit, which you'll never be able to be good at again.
I mean, to be fair though, I'm gonna need Rare at some point. You don't want to work on your old IPs. I need you to work on your new IPs, because where the hell is Everwild?
Yeah, it's true, and they're working on that right now as we speak.
Absolutely.
Look,
I'd like to see some gameplay.
I will say this: this was a great show, a solid 2 hours. Again, the first topic was very heavy. I super appreciate everyone in that having incredible, like, real adult time conversations, because I think that as great as gaming is, if we forget that people make these games and that there are actual real life things happening. It's
stop saying that.
I for now, but I mean, again, hopefully the Terminators don't kill us too. I'm just saying that I on this particular show, on this channel, I do want to take the time to cover important topics. Yeah, we're going to get the games. We're going to be talking about Microsoft like crazy with 15 people on the panel next Wednesday. It's going to be a big celebration. We should have some surprises, some release dates. It's going to be a great time. I thought today was a great way to do it. Let's get to the outros. We'll start first with the Mag, who's got to get on out of here.
Yes.
Mag, Sell your brand, brother. Talk about
Hey,
where can
man.
people check you out on social media, and when are we getting Pony 420 back, bro?
He
What is
took a little bit
happening?
of a he took a little bit of a rest. Actually, it's actually quite rare that I get to make it to the end of the show because usually I gotta disappear.
You
The
gotta
phone
bounce,
starts
yeah.
going, yeah. But today it's not ringing just yet. So, anyways. I'm still on social media. I'm still doing my thing, and I'm still trying to be as funny as possible and whatever. But you know what? When it comes to my videos or whatever, I'm laying low right now because 2023 was a bit of a rough start, and I'm just like, you know what? Let's weather this storm,
lot of people,
and then let's
dude.
see when the comedy starts coming back, and then I'll start bringing some more videos out. And I got lots of ideas. I know some of them would have definitely got me canceled, so I ran them by my wife. I ran him by my wife and I said, honey, I really want to do this. And she goes, you do this, you might actually lose your job in real life. And I'm like, well, crap. I'm like, all right, forget it. So I had to can about 3 videos because I have a feeling I'd really get fired in real life. So anyways, I had to put them on the side because, anyways, more stuff is coming. You know where to follow me, everybody. It was a great show tonight. Panel, you guys are awesome. We'll see you guys all next week. We got a lot to talk about next week already because I'm already excited to see what's going to be coming up. But anyways, everybody, have a great night. We'll see you then.
Yeah, thanks so much. Real quick, Carl Andrews Jr. dropped a $5 super chat. Thank you for the generosity, Carl. He says, I'll say 343 made Halo 4, 5, and Infinite. 4 was okay. Hated 5, so did I. Halo Infinite, loved the campaign, so did I. And additionally, the grapple hook and upgrade system. I loved those things on Halo Infinite. I don't think you can go have a game without a grappling hook now. Now they just ruined us all because that grappling hook is amazing. But Hargeet, sell your brand, brother. Talk about Game On Daily. The last couple of source videos. I mean, I didn't know that Gaz was a rapper, but I think he could sell an album. That dude was great. You guys are really doing some good work over there. Talk about it.
Yeah, so check us out on GameOnDaily.com, YouTube.com/GameOnDaily. And yeah, you should expect a sauce video from all these layoffs in 343.
Oh, I can't wait. Yeah, I cannot wait. He's as raw cut as they could possibly be. Hargeet, if somebody wants to follow you, I know you're not on social media. Where can they reach out to you, though?
Yeah, so my gamer tag is hchani. So you can check me out on Xbox there. And Discord, I don't know if it's easy to find me. It's the same gamer tag, but then there's some like number that you have to give them. So I don't know. That's where I also am. But maybe you can find me in one of the other Discord servers that people are joined in, and you can find me there.
All right, brother. Thank you so much for that. Wandering Dutch, sell your brand, brother. You guys had a great show today. Let's funnel people over to your incredible YouTube channel. Talk about it. Where could they subscribe? What is it called? When can they check out your live streams? And more importantly, reach out to you on social media.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, great show as always. Great show. It's been fun. Yes, you can find me everywhere at Wandering Dutch, and of course on YouTube at Wandering Dutch, the home of our podcast, the Midweek Mix-Up. Of course, we're live every Tuesdays. Receive Tuesdays podcast. Speaking of Ray, every Wednesdays for the Midweek Mix-Up. Of course, next week the Xbox gods have graced us with the fact that it is airing directly on our podcast airtime, so we don't even have to change for an alternate show. It just goes straight through. And then, of course, every second Sunday for the weekend edition, which is awesome. So yes, you can find me everywhere at the Wandering Dutch.
Nice. Good stuff as always. Kay Asante, you got a show coming up with Everborn this Saturday morning. Talk about it. Where can people check that out? Subscribe. The goal is for the end of 2023 to get you to 3K. You're blown through 1. Let's
not
get
even
the other
2, huh? That's amazing. Yeah, that'd be absolutely fantastic.
That's what we said. That's what it will be.
Well, all right,
growth
then.
Will be exponential. Speaking into existence.
I'm speaking into existence. No, thank you guys so much. As usual, always a great show with all these awesome panel members, and of course the lively chat. Yeah, we will be having some interesting conversations this weekend. We will not only be having Doom Cutie on. She's a great member of the community. You follow her. She's always streaming and having a good time. She's also a member of the Xbox Infinite podcast. We will also have the one and only King David on, who will also be regaling us with him and all the conversations that were had when he was in the spot with with Mr.
God
Phil
Howard,
Spencer,
Phil Dominus.
God Howard.
He was hanging out with royalty. Yeah,
indeed. So we're gonna have him and Doom Cutie on this weekend, so it should be a fun time, a great conversation. So please check us out. TKO Asante, Xbox, PlayStation, all those places you want to find me. You can also find the Gaming Circle podcast on YouTube. Just type it into the search field It'll pop up. Myself, Mr. Everborn Saga. We will get your Saturday started right. We are now officially over 1K, so we're monetizing. We're doing all these different things. We're adding some cool effects into the mix. Come check us out. Give us some creative critique. Come and thank once again the Wandering Dutch for giving us awesome theme music and startup and ending music and stuff. We're looking better all the time. Come check us out. Thank you guys so much once again.
Thank you. And Everborn Saga, sell your brand. This is going to be a big year for the Everborn Saga. You got a nice package deal on the website for anyone that wants to jump in. They get all the books in one shot. Talk about it.
Yeah, man. So right now we are running a special. This is I hate to say it sounds like a salesman, but while supplies last, that's a real thing.
It is. You guys sold out on the first batch.
Yeah, we sold out in 2 days, but we got a new round of shipment of the books. But you can get up to date with all of the Everborn Saga, one package all together. That is over 300 pages of content and story and art and all that. All in color. Some of them are hardcover. They all come signed. And that is only $50. It's on everbornsaga.com. By the way, if you want to get a hold of me, you can reach me at Everborn Saga pretty much everywhere. That's YouTube, that's Instagram, that's Facebook, that's Twitter, Xbox, PlayStation, Steam, all Everborn Saga. But like I say every week, the most important place is everbornsaga.com, where you can get a hold of these books. And again, every book in the series, all together, only $50. And we are releasing 4 books this year. And they are all in production as we speak, and they will release throughout the year. So I wanted to get everybody up to date in 2023. So check this out. It is only while we still have physical prints. Everbornsaga.com. Check it out. And again, before we go, let it not be said, Halo Infinite was one of the greatest Halo campaigns.
There you go.
Only behind Halo 3.
There you go.
And what did they get for it? Salt mines, baby. Salt mines. That's what's happening.
They got the hate.
Well,
Doesn't change the facts, though.
They made this bed. They're gonna have to lie in it, even if it stinks. I don't care. I'm sorry. Listen, that's it. Halo. We want to see you come back in a big way. Do Master Chief right. That's what I'm gonna say. But ladies and gentlemen, big shout out to all the super chats that came in. Thank you so much. They are gonna help fund the 15 copy giveaway that we're doing for the team and their families over at GCS Game World, who are making Stalker 2. It is a big contest. It's the biggest contest that we've ever done. We're doing it in order to support that studio, who obviously was uprooted due to the war in Ukraine. They are now, they're not displaced anymore. They're in a new region of the world. They are finishing off this game. How that game is being finished is honestly beyond me. And in order for, they're getting a big paycheck from Microsoft. It's called a spade to spade. They're putting in a Game Pass. They're going to get paid. But my wife and I wanted to do something special. Basically, the little guy helping the little guy. And we're giving away 15 copies that we're going to purchase, not from Game Pass. Literally go to a store and purchase these copies for full price, so they get their 70%. And we're trying. I'm in touch with their PR department. It's hard to get a hold of them. I'm trying to get 2 of the developers on during that 60-minute live stream. It's going to be a special. It's going to be a launch game special that we're doing for Stalker 2, and we're giving away 15 copies. The first 8 will go to channel members. The next 7 will go to anyone that are in the chat. You have your choice of PC or Xbox. We will get those codes that day to you so you can play the game. And of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that is important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the next episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends.